Welcome back. In this task, we will enhance the app that we created in the previous task. We will add markers and pop-up to the map that we created in the previous task. Please make a note of the URL that you see on the screen. This is the URL of the RStudio Cloud project that has the code for the current task. Let me switch views so you get your workspace back. And we'll switch to RStudio Cloud. I'll paste the URL here. And we'll let RStudio Cloud create the project for us. We'll ask it to create a permanent copy. The name of the project is Basic Web App with Map, Markers, and Pop-ups. We'll give it some time. It's almost done. And we have this app.r file in the Cloud Project Basic Web App folder. Let's open this file. We'll get some space here. Like before, this file has some instructions, some description about what the app does at the top. And then we have the library function calls to load the packages we need. These are the same packages as before. And now we have the data. Recall that to specify, to show markers on the map, we need to give it data. And here is the data. The data that we need to give it is the location information, the longitudes, and the latitude information. And we specified the data using vectors. So we have the longitudes vector and the latitudes vector. These are numeric vectors. And then we have the restaurant names vector that has the names of the restaurants. And then we have the pop-up data vector that is information that will be displayed in the pop-up. Now, the thing to note is this. In the longitudes vector, the first element corresponds to the first element in the latitudes vector, and they both correspond to the first element in the restaurant names vector. In other words, the first element in the longitude vector and the first element in the latitudes vector provide the location information for Paisanos Lincoln Heights restaurant. Similarly, the second element in the longitudes vector and the second element in the latitudes vector provide location information for the Paisanos Riverwalk restaurant. And we have a similar correspondence with pop-up data vector. Now, this is not the best way to represent data. In the third guided project, we will see how to work with what are called data frames, and that will lead to a better organization of the data. For now, this will suffice for us. So we'll come down further. We have the UI definition. Like before, we have the leaflet output function. I've added one more argument, the height. And what this does is it fills the whole screen with the map. Now this number really depends on the screen resolution. In our case, 800 pixels will fill the screen, so I've added 800 pixels as the height argument. That's the only change in UI. Next, let's look at the server function. We have added one more instruction to the render leaflet function. We have added the add markers function, and we use this function to place the markers on the map. Which map? The map to which we had added tiles before. So we specify as the first argument the map with the tiles, this one. Then we give it the locations where we want the markers. So we give it the longitudes and the latitudes. And then we give it the label argument. And the label argument is the restaurant names. And we are saying, please label the markers with the restaurant names, and then we give the pop-up data. So we give it 5 arguments. Notice that the first 3 arguments are specified by possession, and the fourth and the fifth arguments are specified as named arguments. Now let's run this app to see what we get, and this time we'll run it in the browser. So I'll go to the Run App button. We will select Run External, and now let me click on Run App. And we get this map. Notice that Leaflet has zoomed in to the region of the map where we wanted the markers. For example, in this case, it's the region, the city of San Antonio. And we have these markers, 4 markers, but we don't see the restaurant names, the labels for the markers. Let's hover over the marker, and now we see the restaurant name, and it's not really readable. We'll fix this in the next task. Let me click on the marker, and it brings up a pop-up with the address and the phone number of the restaurant. If you notice, this app looks a bit plain. You can't make out what it's showing. So let's add a title to this app. We will also add a style. Notice that we have these white borders and this white space at the bottom. We'll fill this up. We'll add a style that will give it a different look. So in this task, we added markers to our default map. In the next task, we will add a title. We will add a theme to this app, and we will make sure that the restaurant names, the labels, appear by default. So I'll see you in a short while.